Peace and love, and welcome to Black Diamond Worldwide Outreach. If you're seeing this video, it means that we had some technical difficulties with our sound during our Sunday service. But please come out and visit us to get the full service experience every Sunday at 1156 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Today we are talking about our will, still using our will and our I statements, our my statements, reminding ourselves to allow our will to be our guiding light. And I always have this like one caveat, right? Because there are so many people who their will is to do harm, to kill people, to steal from people, right? So as long as you're not out there doing crimes, allow your will to lead you to good. Friends, today, allow your will to lead you to the good things in life and away from darkness. Allow your will to lead you to good and away from dark people and dark situations and dark experiences. Especially, allow your will to only seek out the good and get away from dark memories that cloud and fill your mind. Because friends, we have the will to be the light that you were intended to be. Friends, know that you do have the will to be the light and the God power that you were created and intended to be. And this is why I say, listen, come out to church. This week is our second Sunday, and we do our candle lighting service on our second Sundays. And come out for the singing, not just to light a candle with us, but just for the singing, for the meditations, for the prayers that we share together. Come out to church. Let us get that firsthand, that full church experience. I promise you, it is the best time that you will ever have in church. If you don't believe me, come and prove me wrong. And listen, there's no entrance fee, right? There's no bouncer at the door that's going to say, my father's at the door, but there's no bouncer. There's no entrance fee. So just come out and enjoy the service, because we all need some type of upliftment, right? So come and join this great spiritual community. Come and join this great inspiration of love that we do each and every Sunday at 1156 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. But friends, no matter how you reach your spirituality, or no matter how you are training your spirituality, you always have to remember that your light is your responsibility. You always have to remember that your energy is your responsibility. Your life is your responsibility. And while we have people and things that can bring us joy, those people and things should never be our only joy. They should only add to our joy. We have to always have the joy within. Because here's the thing, if circumstances should change, then our joy and our experience to live in joy might be affected. If we allow people and things to bring us joy and let them be the only thing that bring us joy, we can end up in a situation where if circumstances change, our will to experience joy can be affected and it can be damaged. Our will to live and experience joy can be affected by those moments if those circumstances should change. And that is why, friends, you have to find your will to be the light that God created you to be. Friends, today, that is why you have to find the will to be the energy that God created you to be. You have to find the will to be the life that God created you to be. And in that will, you can allow it to be your guiding light. You can allow that will to be your guiding light right here and right now, knowing that your light is your responsibility. Your energy is your responsibility. Your life itself is your responsibility. So friends, affirm with me, my light is my responsibility. My energy is my responsibility. My life is my responsibility. So friends, affirming this, we have to live it now. Realizing that each of us has the life responsibility to navigate our feelings. We have the life responsibility to navigate our emotions. We have the responsibility to navigate our reactions to the things that happen in our world. And with so many feelings and emotions and reactions to navigate, a person can lose their inspiration trying to control it all, right? A person can lose their inspiration and their will trying to keep up with all the feelings, all the emotions, all the reactions from people and from ourselves in this world. And as such, people end up giving up instead of trying their best. People end up giving up on themselves and don't speak up for themselves. Either they don't want to rustle any feathers, they don't want to anger people, they don't want to complicate relationships, right? People are scared to say no because they feel like people will never ask them again, or if they say no, it might seem like they're being disagreeable and all these things. But to some degree, not speaking up for yourself can strip away chunks of your soul. It can strip away chunks of your consciousness. Really, not speaking up for yourself can strip away chunks of your joy. I always think about people who go through sexual assault because there are so many, and it's astonishing. People who go through physical abuse and having that autonomy taken away from their body, not having the safety of knowing that they have complete control over their body, but even deeper than that, feeling like they're not speaking up for themselves, they're not speaking up for their own bodily autonomy. And even into lessening degrees when we feel those moments where we feel like we've been disrespected. Those moments when we are talked down to, like sometimes you're at work and the boss starts to talk down to you and you can't talk back because, it's the boss, they could fire you and get ignorant. And this is the whole thing. And so there are moments where you don't feel that you can speak up for yourself. That can strip away pieces of your soul and your consciousness. Times where we're made to feel stupid or look stupid, right? All of these things strip away our consciousness and our joy to some extent. And while accountability does help, right, when we're apologized to, and I always like to say, apology with behavioral change, right, especially when you're in a relationship or friendship with people. If there are things that you're being apologized, if there are things that, apologies need to be said, is there a behavioral change after that? Because just saying I'm sorry and not changing the behavior just kind of null and voids it makes the point moot. It makes the apology moot, right? So these things do help, accountability and apologies and things like that. But it's us going through these situations, right? After all of the negative situations that we go through, we now have the job of rebuilding ourselves. We now have the job of rebuilding our self-confidence and our self-will. We now have the job of rebuilding our faith, of rebuilding our goodness, of rebuilding our prosperity. We now have to use our will as our guiding light to the rebuilding of our self-confidence. And friends, I have to remind you that this all starts by looking at our emotional responses. What are our emotional responses to our world? The first thing is, what are our feelings as we're living these relationships, as we're living and going through these experiences? How does the experience feel in our soul, right? As we're having these friendships, having these marriages, having these relationships, how do they feel in our soul? And what are our reactions when people have to tell us something, right? You can know your reaction that if the situation was reversed and you had to say something that the other person said to you, would you respect your reaction? If the situation was reversed, would you accept and respect your reaction if the person had the same reaction to what you said, right? Because we have to remember that some people are scared of the fact of self-reflection. Some people are scared to do the work of self-reflection because they feel that it will bring up and reveal their character flaws. There are so many people that are scared of self-reflection because they feel that it's going to bring up the things that they don't want to deal with, that they have to deal with, that have never dealt with, right? People are scared to do the work of self-reflection because it feels like it will bring up things that they're still confused about, the things that still haunt them, right? They feel it'll bring up the pains and the regrets and the hurts and the challenges. And friends, truth is, it will. When you do the work of self-reflection, it's going to bring up all those pains, all those regrets, all those hurts, all those flaws, all of those things that confuse you and all of those things that haunt you. But the trick is not to allow those things to define you. The trick is, as they come up, as you do the work of self-reflection and allow those things to come up in your world, you cannot allow those negative feelings, those negative emotions, and those negative experiences define who you are. Instead, let it refine who you are. Just like fine wine aging at a great pace, right? You are now being refined by all of that pain, all of that regret. You are now getting better in every every negative situation because you realize that every situation in your existence is the gift of your authenticity. It makes you who you are, and you are an authentic God being, and you can use your will as the guiding light out of those hurts. You can use your will as the guiding light out of regret and out of pain and out of confusion and out of the challenges of life. You can use your will as your guiding light. So friends, today remember with this now, that yes, negation may be a part of your past, but will you allow it to be a part of your future? Yes, negation may be a part of your past, but will you allow it to be a part of your future? Or will you command joy for your future? Yes, negation of any kind may be a part of your past. It may be a part of your story, but will you allow it to be part of your future? Or will you command healing in your future? Will you command your will to take complete control of your future? Because friends, listen, you only have the power that your will wants you to have, and your will needs you to be assertive. Your will needs you to be bold, but you can only have the power and the energy and the life that your will wants you to have. Allow that will to be your guiding light, and as you do, your will is assertive. Your will is bold. Your will is unwavering, welcoming the future you in success and prosperity, in joy and healing, and with all the will that you need, because you know that you can command joy for your future, because you know that you can command healing for your future, because you know that you can command will for your future. So friends, affirm with me, I command joy for my future. Come on, fist in the air. I command joy for my future. Let's hug ourselves for healing and say, I command healing for my future. And put those fists back up in the air and say, I command will for my future. With this command now, our will is activated. With this affirmation now, our will is now activated in a great and a wonderful way. Allow that will to be your guiding light to prosperity and success. The faculty of will is represented by the disciple Matthew. And Matthew was a tax collector named Levi. And in those days, no one respected the tax collector because they believed that the tax collector just collected the taxes and made themselves rich. They were not doing anything in the world. And so Levi, the tax collector, needed salvation from himself, and he began to follow Jesus. And in that process, he changed his name to Matthew. How wonderful when we can change our name, because that's what he was doing. He was doing what we're saying here today. Levi was using his will as his guiding light to Matthew. And metaphysically, this story of Levi's transformation to Matthew really goes back to the people who try to control their lives based on what they can get from others, right? Just like Levi is a tax collector, there are so many people tax collecting on their friends, their families, only interested in what that person can do for them. How much love can you show me? How much respect? I'm collecting the tax of how much time are you going to spend with me? How much respect? And listen, it's good to have gifts from other people. It's good to share love and share time, of course, to have respect with one another. But are we using it as a tax, right? Are we expecting those things from other people, or are we allowing it to come through ourselves? Because I hear some people say when they fall in love, and listen, falling in love is great. Getting married is great. Even if you don't want to get married, you want to spend your time with that person, that is great. But when I hear people say, oh, he completes me, she completes me, I think that is a death sentence to the soul. If someone else is going to complete you, you're not leaving room for you to complete you, and you're the only one that can do that. So if you're allowing other people to complete you and you're not doing the work yourself, you are in big trouble. It is a death sentence to your soul. Friends, today, have you left room for your total growth? Have you and are you leaving room with all the people that you're in love with and the marriage and this and that and oh, that's wonderful again. But have you left room for your total growth? Have you left room for your self-acceptance as you love, as you're in these relationships and the person, brings you joy? Have you still left room for your self-respect, for your self-love? Have you left room and are you leaving room for your vision? Friends, if you remember nothing else from today, remember this part. You cannot use someone else's feet for your spiritual walk. Friends, remember that. I'm going to say it again. You cannot use someone else's feet for your spiritual walk. And in turn, you cannot use someone else's consciousness for your spiritual walk and your spiritual journey. You cannot use someone else's will for your spiritual journey. You cannot use someone else's faith for your spiritual journey. Your spiritual awakening requires you to be centered in your own being. Your spiritual awakenings require you to be centered in your own consciousness, requires you to be centered in your own will. Your spiritual awakenings require you to be centered in your own soul. And for me, for anyone, for every one of us, it happens through conscious moments of connection that we call prayer. And that brings us to our scripture reading for today. Today we read from Matthew chapter 6. We read from verses 9 to 15, which showcases one of the most popular prayer in the Bible, the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father. And it starts out with our Father. And I don't like to put gender with God, so I like to say our God. But whatever you want to call God, whether God for you is God, father, mother, sister, brother, whoever you consider God to be, God is our spiritual parent. And that parent is the parent of all of us. God is all of our parent. God is all of our maker. God made and sustained each and every one of us. And no one is excluded from that energy of God. Our Father, our God, who is in heaven. We know that heaven is that high state of consciousness, that high state of success. So as we're meeting God in prayer, we are reaching for a high state of achievement. We are reaching up for a high state of fulfillment. We are reaching for a high state of consciousness. The prayer goes on to say, hallowed be thy name. In other words, holy is the name of God. Sacred is the name of God. Respected is the name of God. But remember, friends, God's name is your name. God's name is your purpose. So yes, holy, sacred, and respected is the name of God. But remember that your name is also to be kept holy. Your name and your purpose is also holy. Your name and your purpose is also sacred. Your name and your purpose here on earth is also to be respected. Hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. In other words, whatever you think is promised in the kingdom, it works through us right here and right now. Thy will be done. And this is, I think, a lot of people's favorite part of the Lord's Prayer, thy will be done. And it ties in with our theme for this month, the month of will. We're talking about God's will. We have to allow God's will to be our will. We have to allow our will to be that guiding light. And that also ties in with the scripture verse that I wanted us to work with through this month of August, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, which reminds us that God did not give us a spirit of fear or timidity, but God gave us a spirit of power. God gave us a spirit of love. God gave us a spirit of a sound mind. So friends, God's will for us was not made in fear. Our will was not made in fear. Our will was not made in intimidation. So we have to go forth having that will of power. Go forth having that will of love. Go forth having that will of a sound mind, and allow that will to be your guiding light. Thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Again, having this state of heavenly bliss, having this state of heavenly freedom happening right here on earth. Knowing that, yes, we can go through earthly experiences, but we now have a heavenly expectation. Yes, we can have earthly experiences, but we have our earthly bliss and earthly freedom that we can enjoy these wonderful earthly experiences with. Friends, I pray that this becomes your affirmation for your life. I pray that you remember that this is the reason that Jesus came, to remind us of this human body that can be spiritualized, of this human life that can live in complete heavenly bliss, that this human life can exist in heavenly comfort. The prayer goes on now to the meat of it, right? The first half of the prayer talks about our connection with God and our acknowledging God and who God is in us now. The second half of the Lord's Prayer goes into how we are to live this life. The first part of it says, give us this day our daily bread. We know that bread is not just about food, but bread is the thing that keeps us alive. Bread is the substance that keeps us alive, and that substance comes in the form of will. So when we're praying, give us our daily bread, we're also internally saying, give us the will to live. Give us the will to be motivated. Give us the will to do what is needed for our growth, and forgive us our debts as we forgive others. There is a will that comes within us to release and to forgive when people have done us wrong. But we have to find that will to release. We have to find that will to forgive if we are to be forgiven. But a lot of people want the big payback. A lot of people want retribution, right? A lot of people want to hold on to resentment. But I always say, when you're holding on or reaching out for the big payback, when you're holding on for retribution, when you're holding on to resentment, what is the cost to your soul? What is the cost? What is the strain on your soul and your body? What is the cost and the strain on your consciousness? When you're holding on to resentment, when you're looking for the big payback, when you're looking for retribution, what is the cost to your future? What is the cost to your joy? Forgive and be forgiven. It goes on to say in the prayer, and lead us not into temptation. I've heard some other churches say also, leave us not into temptation, because it is a reminder that the true will in us is never tempted to believe in anything less than its power. Know that this is the true will in you today, friends. That true will is never tempted to believe that it is anything less than powerful. That the true will of God within you will always believe that it is always successful. And deliver us from evil. Deliver us from the opposing thoughts that do not work with the will of our faith and the will of our joy. Deliver us from opposing words, opposing actions, opposing experiences that are not exercising our will for joy and fulfillment. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever and ever. Amen. The end. The end of the story, right? And that's where our focus should be as we come out of prayer. As we come out of prayer, especially the Lord's Prayer, we should remember that our focus should be on our highest self. Our focus should be on our higher kingdom. Our focus should be on our higher power. Our focus should be on our higher glory. No more of this low vibrational energy. No, we're reaching for our higher kingdom, our higher power, our higher glory forever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. The end, as the West Indians say, story done. Story finish. Right then and there. Friends, with the power of this prayer now, how powerfully will you now claim your faith? Friends, with this power in you now, how much more powerfully will you claim your will to be what you want to be? Friends, know that your will is powerful. Your word is powerful. Your power, your God power is powerful, and allow it to remain that way. You know, as I was writing this sermon, I remembered one of the first times I went to Jamaica, and I was with, of course, my travel buddy, my best friend, and we had some friends of hers from growing up and stuff like that, family members, and one of them had a driver that was driving us around and showing us the ropes and things like that. And one night he said, I'm going to take y'all to the club. And you know me. If you know me, you know I don't like the club unless I'm hosting something. I ain't going into no club. He said, it's going to be cool and blah, blah, blah. We get to the club, and it was fine. It was actually a great time. One of the best times I've ever had at a party. But I remember that there was this one girl there, and, Jamaicans call them the bad gal them, right? If you were to look at the Jamaican patois version of what does it mean. The Jamaican patois dictionary for the bad gal them, this was the bad gal them, right? I mean, this girl looked good, and the driver knew her, and as he's walking up to her, he's bigging her up like, yeah, you know, nice shoes, you know, you look good, nice outfit. And she was just posing like, yep, look at the shoes, yep, look at the outfit, yep, look at the hair, yeah, look at the nail, look at the jewelry. I look good, right? She just posing. You could just see that this confidence is coming out of her. And her response is something that lives rent-free in my head. She said, "Me not come for play." I was like, that lives rent-free in my head. Me not come for play. Yeah, look at the outfit, fools. I didn't come to play with you. I came to look good, feel good, and smell good. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I want us to say to our haters today. You didn't come to play. You didn't come to this earth to play with your God power. You came to create your God power. You didn't come to this earth to play with people that are going to hate on you. You didn't come to this earth to play with your negative thoughts and negative people in your world. Friends, you didn't come to this earth to play with your God energy. You came to boldly create it with your will right here and right now. I know that your will, your word, and your power is powerful, and it will always remain that way. So friends, affirm with me, my will is powerful, and it remains that way. My word is powerful, and it remains that way. My fist in the air, my power is powerful, and it remains that way. So friends, stop playing with your God energy and get aligned with it. Speak your words of joy loudly and often, and know that, listen, if you're speaking your truth and it creates enemies, they were never your friends to begin with. And I don't care if it's your spouse, significant other, it's your friends, your family. If you speaking your truth creates an enemy of your friends and the people in your circle, they were never friends to begin with. Continue speaking your truth. Because what you're doing when you're speaking your truth, you're speaking your will. That is what you're actually doing. You're speaking the will of your standards. You're speaking the will of your boundaries. And sometimes you have to go through a breakup, right? Sometimes you have to initiate a breakup if a relationship is not working, a friendship, or even a family member. Sometimes you have to break up if they're not respecting the standards and the boundaries that you've set for yourself. You got to let those people out of your life. You don't need that type of energy in your world. But even when it's not as far as going into a breakup, when you just have to kind of mend a relationship because of a betrayal or disrespect, people kind of lose their courage, right? They kind of lose their will if they have to say something to someone and they know that it is going to be poorly received. If they have to say something to someone and they know that there is going to be an emotional response, and even worse than that, when they say what they have to say, it's most likely going to be a negative response from the other person. But we have to realize that when that person is having an emotional response, when that person is having a negative response, what they're doing is they're advocating for themselves. And even deeper than that, they are advocating for their ego. And even deeper than that, when someone has a negative or an emotional response, they are advocating for their pride. Will you now use your will as the guiding light to speak up for yourself? Friends, today, will you keep your will so strong that no matter what the emotional response, no matter what the negative response you get from other people, you are still keeping your will strong enough to advocate for you? They are advocating for themselves. Now you have to continue to use your will to advocate for you, to advocate for your future. Will you still allow your will to advocate for your sanity and your peace of mind and your healing and your joy and your love? Because here's the thing, here's the truth of the matter. Anyone who really loves you will love the will that it takes to be you. There's a lot of strength that it takes to be you. There's a lot of strength that takes to initiate your joy and to speak up for yourself. And anyone that loves you will love the will that it takes to advocate for you. Anyone that loves, what's the saying? Those who matter don't mind, and those who mind don't matter, right? Because anyone who loves you will love the will that it takes you to advocate for yourself. That's why you always have to be you, friends. That is why you always have to continue to turn within and center yourself, knowing that that is your greatest superpower. And with that, you will never be scared to use your voice. As you turn within, as you center yourself, you will never again be scared to use your will. And any type of overpowering personalities, because that's what we're really scared of sometimes, right? Just, again, these emotional responses from these big personalities, we know that we never have to be scared to use our voice again, because we are strong in our God voice, because we are strong in our God will. So never ever again will we be scared to use our voice and our will. So friends, affirm with me, fist in the air, I am never scared to use my voice. Let's hug ourselves, because our voice is coming from our bodies, right? Hug yourself and say, I am never scared to use my voice. Now put your fist back in the air and at the top of your lungs say, I am never scared to use my will. All right, what's my time? Okay, running out of time, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. Hopefully you have enjoyed this wonderful message. So, remember, you have big dreams to fulfill. Let your will be your guiding light to fulfill those dreams, friends. You have successful words to speak. You have a body and a mind to heal and illumine. Let your will be the guiding light to speak those successful words, to illumine that body and that mind, to heal that body and that mind. Let that will be your guiding light that takes you there, friends. Friends, you have big prayers to pray. Let your will be the guiding light to it. You have a great success to enjoy. Let your will be the guiding light to the enjoyment of that success. Remember, it is our Father, our God, that reminds us that we are not excluded from the genius that our will can manifest. We are not excluded from the genius that our will can produce. And so if you feel like you are excluded from that, that's your Levi phase. Now it's time for, just like how Levi picked up with Jesus and found his God self and became Matthew, today you are leaving your Levi self that doesn't believe in your voice, that doesn't believe in your genius, and you're becoming Matthew. You're becoming the Matthew of will, that knows that you will express your genius, that you will express your healing, that you will express your power and your success and your light, because your will is your guiding light. Your will is your guiding force. Your will is your guiding power. So friends, today, you have absolutely nothing to be nervous about. You have absolutely nothing to be fearful or confused or anxious about. Let your will be your guiding light. Let it be your guiding force. Let it be your guiding power. So friends, affirm this last affirmation with me. Fist in the air and confidence in the voice. Affirm with me. My will is my guiding light. My will is my guiding force. My will is my guiding power. Yes, friends, allow this energy in you, allow this life in you, allow this action in you to always guide you into that which is for your greatest and highest good, knowing that you deserve it, knowing that it is all for you, and you have the power that you need to be the best of yourself. I love you. Be blessed.